Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The Health Department reports over 8,500 new COVID-19 infections. This brings the country's caseload to above 884,000, some 165,000 of which are still active. Now, the virus killed 137 more patients in the past 24 hours, pushing the death toll to more than 15,200. Some 703,000, meanwhile, have gotten better from the disease, with 400 new recoveries reported today. The DOH notes that 9 laboratories were not able to submit their data. Despite the continuous rise in COVID-19 infections, Octa Research Group projects that the reproduction rate, at least in Metro Manila, will decrease further. Let's now talk more about this with research fellow Ranjit Rai. He's joining us over the phone. Sir, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon to all our televiewers.
Professor, first off, what's your reaction to the 8,500 new COVID cases today? Why is this relatively lower than the previous days?
Well, testing during the weekend is kind of low. But based on our study, it should be around 5,000 cases a day here in the National Capital Region, and something like 10,000 to 11,000 for the whole country. So it's going to be that way. It will go up from most likely Wednesday, Thursday.
Professor, what's the group's basis on saying that the reproduction rate will dip to below 1 by the weekend or perhaps next week? Does this mean the 2-week ECQ is effective enough?
Yeah, the 2-week ECQ was effective. We were batting for another week of ECQ. That's the assumption. It would go down if we had another week of ECQ. But unfortunately, we now have an MECQ. We're hoping that we can give this MECQ a chance and hope that people will stay disciplined because, it will take longer now to bring the R down to less than 1. No? Our projections after 2 weeks will just be hovering above 1. We're really hoping that things will improve and R will go below 1.
Sir, Professor Guido David mentioned yesterday that Octa Research Group is recalibrating its MECQ recommendations. Any update on this?
Yeah, we are. We're observing the situation. If the MECQ that we instituted is too loose, no, you will see it. You will see the R begin to rise again, and that's what we don't want to happen.
So what does the group think, sir, about the type of MECQ that we have right now? As you mentioned, it's too lenient, correct?
Yeah, it's a bit liberal, but, let's wait and see. Today is Tuesday, and let's see what the data will show us over the next few days.
Sir, Professor David also said 2 to 3 months are needed to get back to the usual 1,000 to 2,000 daily cases. Is this really the best case scenario that we have so far?
Well, it's hard to determine the best case now. Right now, the situation is bad because, number one, hospitals are still filled up. Number two, the R is still up. So, this is the situation we have at the moment. So once it goes down, then we can see some changes.
Sir, also the group also floated the idea of vaccinating at least 35 million Filipinos for herd immunity and not 17 million. How did you arrive to this recommendation?
No, it's not really for herd immunity. What the goal is to use, the basic science question is, how do we use the limited amount of vaccines we have to provide some sort of immunity, to a limited number of our own citizens and help jumpstart the economic opening. So our basic argument is, let's concentrate the vaccination in NCR and Calabarzon. If we imagine the pandemic as a snake and the head of the snake as something we need to lop off, to cut the viral transmissions all over the country, the NCR is the head. So we contain the outbreaks here. We generally, in a sense, win the war against COVID for the whole country. So that's just what we're saying. We're not saying that herd immunity is a very technical term, and we we still want to get at least 70% of the population vaccinated. But while that is not certain within this year, what can we do to open up quickly so that we can open up quickly the economy? And we're saying let's prioritize NCR Calabarzon. So we're presenting a model for that. This, of course, has to go to the IATF and the government for approval.
Well, thank you, sir, for that clarification and for your time. That's Professor Ranjit Rai of the Octa Research Group. Meanwhile, Marikina and Mandaluyong officials are placing those who tested negative of the virus in reverse isolation facilities in an effort to reduce the number of cases. Jen Calimon is joining us live from Malabon to talk more about that. Jen, has this been effective so far?
Yes, Riza, the LGU of Mandaluyong and Marikina put up a different strategy to fight the surge of infection. That is by putting those who tested negative of the virus in a reversed isolation facility. Marikina City Mayor Marcy Teodoro said that most of the cases now are due to household transmission or when most family members test positive of the virus, which is why they installed a facility where those who tested negative can stay. People in these facilities are also being monitored since they are considered close contacts. They can get out of the facility once they test negative, or they may stay while waiting for their infected relatives to recover. Marikina had 8 reverse isolation facilities before, but they reduced it to 2 because of the decreasing number of people who needed a place to stay. Meanwhile, those infected will be monitored at home by the barangay and LGU. Teodoro said this has been an effective move because it reduced the number of cases in the city from 2,000 to 1,140 after a month. Mandaluyong City has also implemented the same strategy last year. They only allowed home quarantine for COVID-19 positive patients with comorbidities. As of now, the city's only reverse isolation facility is in Barangay Namayan, which has 30 modular tents. Riza, Mandaluyong City officers, this move has been effective in reducing the number of cases last year. Currently, Mandaluyong City has 1,673 active cases. Riza.
Thank you for that update and stay safe. That was Jen Calimon reporting from Malabon. Now here are vaccine updates from around the world. The more infectious UK COVID variant is not as severe as feared worldwide, according to a study published by medical journal The Lancet. British researchers analyzed a group of nearly 500 patients admitted to a UK hospital in November and December last year, comparing outcomes in patients infected the B117 and other variants. They found no difference in risk of severe disease, deaths, and other clinical outcomes in UK variant patients and other mutations. Japan has started vaccinating its elderly population as it faces a 4th wave of infection. Vaccination for people aged 65 and above began at around 120 sites across Japan using the Pfizer jabs. Only around 2,800 people in Tokyo are expected to get inoculated from the first batch, while most regions will receive 1,000 doses or fewer due to limited vaccine supply. The World Bank and Gavi Vaccine Alliance are urging countries with excess COVID-19 vaccines to release them as soon as possible. World Bank President David Malpass wants to work with the Gavi on a 2022 strategy, including helping expand vaccine production for developing countries. Malpass has also highlighted the need to accelerate vaccinations to contain the pandemic and limit further economic damage. Now, for more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.